Hey guys, it's Farrell. Just going to want to bring you in for a little bit of an update here on what I've been doing over at Zombieland Studios. So we'll start off with taking you by the Greek build here. Not too much going on. Still kind of figuring out what I'm going to do for the shape of the roof on the main hall there. And of course, I've also got to figure out how I'm going to bring the rest of the path down here. There's going to be some extensive landscaping I'm going to have to do here to build the hill up to meet this. This is a little bigger than what I really planned for when I actually started building, and I'm kind of paying for it. You can see over here at Town Hall, I've got the roof officially on the top of this. I still have a little bit more quartz that I've got to go out and try to find so I can finish off the very top lip there. And then the back of the building, I've got to figure out what I'm going to be actually putting in there, but it is not going to be anything too complex. Probably be putting in some windows over on this side of the building just to make it even out. I've got to go through and actually start taking down torches as well because I don't really need quite that many torches anymore. Along here you can see I've opened up this area here. This is temporary. I'm trying to figure out what material I'm going to put in there for the storefront. We've got a new storefront here that I need to put some glass in on. I've got to bring over some new doors to replace that because I figured the doors for that fit more on the the Cafe 80s place. Started doing some of the initial work on there. I've got to go out and actually get some prismarine blocks. I'll do a little bit of shopping for that. I've got a little piece of obsidian that I owe for up there. I started putting the roof over here on the gas station. The only thing I have left to do is try to figure out what I'm going to do for a pump, which is probably just going to be probably iron blocks, just because it kind of fits that nicely. else have I been doing? Well, as you can see, I've been making some pretty significant progress over here at the Evil Villain Lair. In fact, the Evil Villain now has his Death Ray up and ready to go here. So I've been putting this together, and you'll have probably been watching me do a time-lapse of that, and also kind of expanding out the hall a little bit here more, just to start building it out. It's going to be a little challenging when I get down to here, what I'm going to do here. I was originally planning to make this a hall, but now I think this is kind of going to be the upper part of a railing to look out over a greater hall down here. As you can see, I'm trying to get into the habit of mixing in some other texture types into the build. It's not something I'm really comfortable doing, so it's really a lot of guesswork as to just how much should be going where and what it should be going into. This needs to be capped off potentially over here, because if I'm going to do the Great Hall off of that, this will just be basically two side halls, so I'll have like a little hallway that could point out into the Great Hall here, or another hallway that can go over this way and perhaps link up with this other stuff. So the Death Ray itself is nothing too fancy. I'm using a little bit of trickery with the piston just to kind of get the kind of little doobery bit at the front sticking out, and yeah, that's pretty much what I've got done. I did put a little bit of a roof on this, but I'm not sure I'm going to actually keep this specific roof. What I'm thinking about doing is actually coming back through here with netherrack and putting a netherrack roof on that and making it more of a proper steeple roof rather than the flat roof that's currently on it now. But I'll probably keep this as the support structure for it. I did throw a little bit of light detail up here with the wood, but it's not going to be anything too significant because, well, you really can't get into that place unless you come up here and manage to throw an ender pearl through the window or something. So that's kind of what I've got in mind. And in all honesty, the roofs here, if I do the top roof in netherrack, I'm probably going to do the other roof in netherrack. And the reason for that, quite simply put, is that I have more than enough netherrack to pull this off. I mean, just to give you an idea, that's what I'm sitting on just in my smeltery alone at this point. Oh, that's right. It's doubling up the game audio for the thunder right now because of the fact that I still have the other client open right now. And yeah, I've got plenty of netherrack over here to work with, so I'm not too worried about running out of anything there. But I think that's going to be the end of this part, at least. I have to come back and maybe do a little bit of tooling around the landscape here. Probably take down the side of this mountain a little bit so you can see this side of the build a little bit, but not too much because I do want the building to kind of go into the everything. And then, of course, I've got the back of the building, which I've also got to figure out, but this might just wind up being left as is. I'll continue over the walkway here or cap it off in some way and just kind of leave this open because it does kind of match the whole, it's a set piece basically, so it's not intended to be all-encompassing. Anyways, what I'm actually here for today is over here on the Wild West set. So, kind of taking a break from working on that. Yeah, I still haven't figured out what I'm doing for the roof on that building. And also I did a little bit more work over here. Basically just trying to get some rough building shapes up for the rest of the town. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do here. There probably should be a building here, just because this is going to be a dividing line between the medieval and the town center kind of architecture. And then as you can see, I started to put in some of the terrain over here. I've got to go out and get some more uncolored hardened clay, unfortunately, before I can finish that off. And of course I got the roof that I've got designed and everything. Yeah, they look ugly right now. There's no windows roughed into them, but I needed to, especially for here, because this is actually the path down into my place. You can see I actually bumped the ladder back a block or two and have started working on lighting up some of this stuff down here. It's been a little wonky because I've got this redstone torch here, but yeah, there is that. And that's my cow cooker over there. The other thing I also ran into, which I was completely not expecting, As if you can see out here, I've got myself a zombie spawn. I was completely incorrect when I said that I thought there weren't any spawners out here, because this is right above here. It's almost right smack dab in the middle of where I was going to be putting the fantasy / medieval village. So yeah, this is going to get interesting, because this is very reminiscent of what I had over on the last season of Zombiecraft, where I had a nice zombie villager, nice and close to the village, and all I needed to do is build a water elevator, bring them up, and then I could get all of the zombie villagers I wanted out of it by just being patient and waiting for some villagers to spawn out of it. Now, I think I can do it again. The water elevator should certainly still work in 110. And all I really need to do is just bring them up a little bit. And then what I would really like to do is find a better way to actually separate them, because that was one problem I had on Zombiecraft, was it was very difficult to, once they got up to the surface, to separate them out. And it's going to be more so on 110, because I've got the 1.9 combat mechanics to work with, which means that now I have to deal with sword attacks being lethal to more than just one entity at a time. So I definitely have some planning I need to do over there to make that happen, but I'm not going to do it just yet, because I need to actually have some buildings up here for my villagers to get in the first place, and second off, I would need to come back along here and certainly build up this wall a little more, or at the very least start bringing it out so I can leave some elements of the river in place. I mean, at this point, that might even mean that the wall itself is going to move across the river. That I'll just put it on the outside edge here and just kind of hide it with trees, just put it just far back enough from the edge to do that. Nothing much planned beyond there. And the way I actually found that is there is a spot down here, if I can find it. I should be able to find it because it has a nice bright little... Oh, I know it's down here somewhere. Here it is. I just happened to hear the zombie noises a little bit, and I kind of went digging out here, digging down, and found myself just off of, you can see I haven't even picked up the iron out of here. It's how fresh it is for me. I'm not too far away from a lot of caves that lead down to that I already explored, but then, of course, when I came in here, I wound up AFKing for a little bit, and all of a sudden I've got zombies coming after me, so, oh, they probably came from this unlit end, and I head down here, and sure enough, boom, there's a zombie spawner. So, yeah, I can't complain about that. But, anyways, getting back to what I wanted to do today, the real goal of coming on here is to work over on the Wild West set. I need a little bit of a break, and what I was thinking about doing was actually getting the other side of town here set up, and maybe doing a little work on the hotel itself. Now, for the purposes of the build here, I've got some supplies on me right now. Don't know if I can... Come on. Why can't I click on you? There we go. Well, now I'm spectating as myself, which is even worse, I guess. Because now, as I move around... Oh, that's just freaky. It's weird to see on two monitors the same image, just slightly time delayed as I get the stuff back from the server. Let's go back to here. There we go, drop out. I was hoping you could actually see my inventory, but that is not the case. I've got some oak wood on me, and I've got some birch on me. I've got plenty of dark oak wood. I've been looking at some building flats that they used on various shows and movies, and kind of realizing that, you know, the stereotypical what you think you're going to see of just you know, nothing but oak wood type stuff, it's really not that true. There's a surprising array of colors that you have to work with here, and some of them, in some cases, unfortunately, I can't really duplicate because, like, there's a building I'm looking at right now that's would make a great hotel, but it's a red siding on it, and there's no way to duplicate that short of using acacia logs and, or more accurately, acacia planks. And I think that would really kind of come across a little too yellow. But a lot of these buildings are they're a dark form of weather. They're not like a bleached white in the sun type of weather. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what I get. And there's other ones that are more, they're more of a darker siding, or they're a green siding color. So of course some of these, the problem is I'm looking at images they're more touristy trap type things. They're supposed to be cutesy and not so much realistic. So yeah, quite a bit of interesting options here, and it's kind of inspired me to actually sit down and finally start working on this, including being able to see a building, a set actually from above. I guess it was for a Lone Ranger remake or something. Sorry, I'm not really into westerns all that much. So it's kind of hard to actually figure out what to say. So that's the goal, is I'm going to work on this side of the Wild West set today. And I figured to bring the camera account along because for once this is actually something I can probably keep in vision for a good bit, I hope. So we're going to see how this turns out. I'll catch up with you guys after the time lapse. Guys, so that's first draft, I suppose you could call it, of the of my flats. Not 100% perfect. The buildings, I don't know, the scale of them just doesn't quite work out right now, except for this one on the very end. That one's the one I'm most happy with at the moment. That'll probably be like the general store or something. And as you can see, I've got a little more space I'm going to have to account for here. This whole front run of the main street here is a lot longer than I kind of really am thrilled with. And I'm actually debating about pulling the hotel back in this general direction. Because, I mean, when you get down to it, if I go all the way down to here, I'm going to have to come back and also get rid of the last of the lighting there and finish up the sidewalks so they're all uniform. I mean, it looks good from this angle. As you can see, I'm about head height here. And it's not bad if you're doing kind of a leisurely stroll, but then you kind of get back, you get down to this point, it's like, okay, I've really got that much further to go. I'm at a loss for what I could put in here. On the left, well, actually, no, what I'm thinking about over here would be a building that's under construction. Just take like a bunch of, fence, birch fence and oak fence, and just kind of build the frame of a building as it's going up. So it could be a little challenging because I have to have them spaced far enough apart to make sense for them to be joists or something. But yeah, I think I could do that, or I might even just do that with the hotel itself. I'm not entirely certain. But that's kind of what I've got in mind right now at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and call it a halt to that time lapse there. And just kind of recuperate a little bit because I kind of really threw myself into that one. And I think I need to kind of sit back and look at that and think about what I'm doing there, because they really do look out of scale compared with what I've built across the street. But I'm reasonably happy with it. I mean, it doesn't need to be a perfect Wild West town. I think it's kind of what's getting a little bit in my way there.